Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. It's January 29th, Monday morning, and we got a few things to talk about today. We're going to talk about the memo, we're going to talk about an indictment update, and then some CEOs resigning and a lot more things going on. So first and foremost, though, I want to shout out to somebody who's been helping me on this channel, because of my demonetization issues. I went ahead and hold on here. Somebody said a little bit of an echo. Hope that fixes it. Using a new mic, so my audio will probably sound a little bit better in this one. Learning as I go with this Wirecast. But anyway, because of my demonetization issues on this channel, I've had a few people reach out to me to help sponsor me to keep things going here. Weeded out through a few of them, but one of the ones I enjoyed and agreed with is Trade Genius. And these guys deal with cryptocurrency, helping you manage your portfolio and your stock market trading. And these guys are having a few end of January deals, a couple days left. So if you want to go check out some of their specials, go right ahead. So shout out to Trade Genius there. But anyway, let's get into a lot of the news we have going on. So let's talk about that House Intel memo release. So True Pundit here is reporting that they are poised to release it today. And the House Intel Committee is going to meet at 5 p.m. on Monday in the Capitol, so a little later this afternoon. And here's the thing, the GOP holds an advantage of 13-9 on this committee. So if they do meet, it is an overwhelming likelihood that True Pundit's saying here that if there is a vote, the panel will decide along party lines to release the memo. So let's pray that there's no false flag or anything that's going to derail this meeting. So that's very good news. I'm stoked. And of course, with the State of the Union address being a few days from now, it would be fantastic if we had this memo released today. We have a few days to mull it over, to really let the information break loose, and then I'm sure a lot of people would be stoked for a State of the Union address. It'd be shattering. Now let's talk about that indictment count. So this guy right here on Twitter, his handle is DAMartin32. The name is Stormwatcher. This and him and his team are the ones that have really been tracking those indictments for the last few months. And the very first count they had back in November was the one that was famously above 4,000. They did another one at the end of December where they counted up to 9,000 even. And most recently, this one through January 26th, as you can see here, it's now up to 13,605. And what I love is that they're linking the backup files, they're linking the evidence. They have Stormwatcher here, or DA Martin. He has the research team listed. I've seen a few people try to jack these numbers and say it was their own when it really wasn't. So shout out to this research team and their awesome reporting. And you can see how many are normal, they ask, only above 1,000 as per a 2009 report. So these indictments are growing, guys. And then a lot of people are questioning them though. They're saying, oh, are these indictments real? Why are there so many of them, yada, yada. Yeah, sure. I'm sure many of them are for maybe lower, mid-level guys, but I wouldn't put it past anything to have these waiting for some upper-level people. And then I had a tweet sent my way by this guy right here. Shout out to Anon Knowledge, or AK Illuminati on Twitter. He does some good reporting, but he sent me this tweet right here where he's saying a former undercover FBI agent turned whistleblower is confirming those 9,000 sealed indictments. And his name right here is Mark Ruskin. Now, clicking on Mark Ruskin's Twitter page here, what he did was share an article from the Epoch Times that is talking about the 9,000 sealed indictments, and he's essentially confirming it, saying something is brewing over at the Justice Department. So let's talk a little bit about Mark Ruskin here. This article here sheds a little light on Mark Ruskin, who he was. He was basically an undercover FBI agent for almost 3 decades, leading all kinds of different undercover stings all across America. As you can see here, he maintained 12 different identities, routinely juggling up to 3 at a time. So this guy has done some work. He's been in the thick of it for a long, long time. So I trust his judgment, and I trust him, shedding light on these 9,000 indictments. My point here being that it's just showing that we're having confirmations of these indictments being legitimate and also being a very odd occurrence, being indicative of something brewing. So now let's move on to the CEOs that are resigning. So, of course, we heard the Planned Parenthood CEO, Cecil Richards. She is stepping down, and with that being Planned Parenthood, God only knows what kind of nasty stuff Planned Parenthood is being used for. A lot of the Q drops, of course, referenced Planned Parenthood to keep our eyes on them, and I'm sure a lot of other nasty disclosures will come out about them in coming months. And speaking of CEO resigning, I mean, of course, we were told to watch it. And if you just Google CEOs resigning into Google, you bring up a lot more. The Equinix CEO. Equinix is a data collection company, a very interesting kind of company to have their CEO resign amid all these circumstances. And he's resigning over mishandling, quote, an employee matter. So weird excuse there. Of course, we had the Planned Parenthood CEO resign that we just mentioned. And then this guy, billionaire Steve Wynn, resigned. He was the Republican National Convention finance chair. The casino mogul stepping down, of course, over multiple instances of sexual harassment. So this is very big news, guys. And funny enough, on Fox News just the other day, they mentioned how it's not a Democrat thing, it's not a Republican thing, it is both sides of the aisle. So I was happy to hear that on Fox News, and then I'm also happy to see this guy going down, being the RNC chair over sexual harassment. So a lot of people are resigning. And then now we're moving to WikiLeaks. So WikiLeaks here is, I found this tweet, or I saw this tweet from them last night discussing how tracking data for Fitbit and other devices are revealing covert military bases around the world. And The Guardian also reporting on it here. I'll go ahead and link these down below, of course, with a lot of the other articles I'm discussing. But this is the website that is showing all the data from around the world that these GPS coordinates, they're left on. So these Fitbits are left on, and then the GPS actually track them. And check it out. You can see all these little blips on the map. Go check this map out. And what I'm interested in is check out these little dots in Antarctica. All right? We got a lot of little occurrences of those Fitbits being left on, those GPSs being tracked down to Antarctica. So I'd be very curious as to overlay this onto Google Maps and to see if these little blips are blurred out. Maybe they're somewhere in Antarctica that Google Maps has blurred out or something to that effect. So interesting there. This article here discussing senators pressing Podesta and other Democrats about dossier-related contacts. I was going to report on this last night, kind of forgot, but throwing it in here today. 2 Republican senators are pressing top Hillary Clinton campaign people and DNC officials for details on any contacts they had with Fusion GPS and other government officials regarding that infamous Trump dossier. So badass Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham, which I think Lindsey Graham's probably changing his tune. He's seeing the writing on the wall, so he's getting with the times, getting with the good guys here, sending letters this week to Podesta, strategist Joel Benenson, and Donna Brazile and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, asking for communication records. It's pretty weird to ask. I figured they'd probably need to be subpoenaed. You got to force the truth out of all these people. They don't want to speak it, but it's good that they are continuing to be pressed. We can't let them just slide off into the sunset and escape all this going on. Last few things I want to share with you guys. Of course, the Grammys. Grammys are terrible. I didn't even know the Grammys were last night. I don't follow that crap anymore. But apparently, during the Grammys, we had a bunch of celebrities, even Hillary Clinton, were reading excerpts from this terrible book, Fire and Fury, that I just can't even stand the author, Michael Wolff. I was watching some interviews with that guy. He's just a little dweeb. I don't know, he's weird. But anyway, people like John Legend, super anti-Trump. It's funny, John Legend being caught up with Chrissy Teigen in that incident with Liz Corkin earlier in the month, or late last month, back in December. And not surprising that they're now reading Fire and Fury at the Grammys. And Hillary Clinton there still not giving up. She's just nasty, nasty woman. And speaking of people going very anti-Trump, Jay-Z, talking about him a little more begrudgingly. But Jay-Z is he said that, Van Jones on CNN was saying that Jay-Z is setting a much better example for America than Donald Trump. Yes, Jay-Z of the songs called Big Pimpin'. And, you know, if you feeling like a pimp, go on and brush your shoulders off, right? Great example. Great example there. Fake news. Last couple things I want to share with you guys. This coming out of Zero Hedge, so check this out. Back at the end of 2015, the Russia Today founder, his name was Mikhail Lezin, died. And authorities first announced that he had died from a heart attack. And he was actually found dead in a hotel room in Washington, D.C. So get this. This was at the end of 2015. Now, the FBI just released documents claiming that this guy, who they first said died of a heart attack, now beat himself to death in his hotel room. So somehow he repeatedly smashed his head and his whole upper body into the ground and died of blunt force trauma. So it's now no longer a heart attack. This is a classic case of what we call being suicided. So this guy was suicided, killing himself with blunt force trauma to the head. And again, guys, this is, I call bullshit on that, of course. And this is showing you that we need a cleansing of the FBI. And a lot of instances of odd deaths where suicide is obviously not suicide. So that's big news, actually. The FBI releasing those docs, just outing themselves. John Kerry here, just not giving up. Some people were saying he was going to run for president in 2020. Now the Zero Hedge is reporting on him talking through secret back channels to Palestinian officials for an alternative initiative to circumvent Trump and Trump's recent decisions there, to kind of put Pakistan on blast to end some of the support for them. But Kerry doesn't want that. Kerry wants to hold and be strong, and telling Palestine authorities, telling their president not to yield to President Trump's demands. So if you think that John Kerry needs to go back down to Antarctica and stay there and freeze there, please like this video. And here's a couple last things. Something I don't agree with coming out of the White House. So here, the White House is planning to nationalize the 5G network. And I do not agree with that. And, you know, as much as I enjoy a lot of the stuff coming out of the White House and this new administration, 5G is something that is toxic for humans. All of the electrosmog, the electromagnetic radiation coming off of pretty much everything, our phones, Wi-Fi, and especially 5G. 5G is going to be much more intense. As this small graphic here shows, 5G is different from 4G, much bigger coverage, much higher streaming, and much more intense electromagnetic radiation. So it's not good. If we have that around the whole country, not good. And the Trump administration is wanting to centralize a nationwide 5G network within 3 years. But what do we need that for? Right? If we have technologies that can give us quantum communication systems and things where we can do away with any of the Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G, and we can bring about a whole new infrastructure, a whole new system of data transference, you know, it's kind of a moot point, which brings into the idea that this Trump administration is going real big into drilling, oil, coal, things like that. Why would we need that? We need to disclose the technology we have available that could transform our Earth, not keep us stuck with this kind of shit right here. And then last thing I want to share with you guys is that this big old drug bust, if you heard of this in New Jersey, these couple men had enough fentanyl on them to literally kill 18 million people. And luckily they were arrested in what was the largest fentanyl bust in New Jersey history. Enough lethal doses here, Fox News is saying, to kill the entire population of New Jersey and New York City combined. And these two guys right here, they were young, 31, 28, not too much older than me. But they were arrested charge with all of this synthetic opioid. War on opioids, right? It's kind of odd, kind of weird, you know? White House wants to nationalize 5G, which is awful for us, but they're combating the opioid crisis. So it's like hit and miss there. I don't know, hit and miss there. But I'm super supportive of their war on kind of a real war on drugs now, I guess we're seeing, aside from their positions on marijuana. But I'm glad that they're fighting the pharmaceutical industry by way of the opioids. So there is that. So that's all, guys. We talked about the indictments. I'll go link these new indictment counts down below. I'll link this tweet to where you can go see what Stormwatch is saying on it. Let's hope that memo gets released today, and then watch those CEO resignations. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more. So that's all for this one, guys. Appreciate it all. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be checking in again soon. So take care.